We started a game we never got to finish.
I was just fooling about.
I was.
I'm your huckleberry.
It is hotter than freaking bullfrog on blacktop pavement.
We basically have
YouTubers
that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Welcome to the fucking show.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Hey y'all, it's Dutch Girl. Same Dutchie, same rules. Take notes if you need to, but this is how it's gonna go in my live streams. This is my digital house. Y'all act like you got some dang sense. Don't come in hollering about creators, being hateful and acting a fool. Mods will let the digital door hit you where the good Lord split you, and I'll let them too. Don't come in hot attacking my mods, my members, or anybody in my chat, and especially my panel guest. You'll get the steel-toed boot right out the damn door. No drama, no internet beefs, no personal vendetta. This YouTube channel is not a place to vent your grievances to everyone about your ex, your life, your baby mama drama, your creator drama. Keep your personal drama and business to yourself. Now, we don't mind the good trolls, but if you're here to cause havoc, mods will revoke your bus pass. This isn't a free-for-all. You can call 1-900-GET-WRECKED. You can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be disrespectful to one another. If you need to block each other in chat, you can click on the person's name on your mobile phone, hold down and block that person, or you can click on 3 dots beside of their comments and just block them. I will not tolerate racism and hate speech, no political arguments, no doxing, no harassment, no bullying. If someone blocks you, take the L and keep it moving. This is not a stalker sanctuary. We're all adults here. You can act right or you can get left out of this channel. Behave with Southern social graces. Mind your manners and conduct yourself like a decent human being. Life is hard. Don't make it harder for me. We don't talk about kids, and that goes for creators' kids, your kids, my kids, kids in ongoing investigations. We don't get involved in senseless bullshit. We ain't the police and we ain't the FBI. That dog won't hunt here. If you saw so-and-so doing or saying such and such, so what? We don't care. I don't care. It probably ain't your business and it don't belong on my YouTube channel. Respect my moderators like they are holding the password to your bank account. Backtalk in chat will get you nowhere. The mods are here to keep things running smooth while I'm live. They are not here to referee the trolls and put up with your bullshit. And just like That's So Crystal always says, this ain't baseball. There is no 3 strikes you're out in this joint. Church will be let out on your ass so fast, you'll be blown out of this popsicle stand before you can call on Jesus. So I hope you enjoy this live stream. These are the rules. If you got an issue, you can send me a message, but I'm not going to handle it while I'm live. Let's get started. Thanks for being here, guys. Copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Hey everybody, this is Dutch Girl coming to you live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Monday. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be talking about the Scott Spivey case tonight, part 3. Want to give you guys some updates, but first I'm going to go over to the chat and say hey to everybody. I hope that the intro was enjoyable. I thought I put some funny things in there that I thought you guys might like. And I went ahead and made a overall rules statement, so you can't say that you don't know what the rules are because I just played it at the beginning of this live stream. If you're coming in late, you might want to rewind so that you can absorb it and take it all in, because it is what it is, and I'm going to keep doing me, and that's how it's going to be. So let me go back up here in chat and say hey to everybody. Let me see. We got Chroma Chronicles that joined earlier today. Thank you, Chroma Chronicles, for becoming a member of the Dutch Bus. Peekaboo streaking to the light right out the gate. Thank you, Peekaboo, for being here. We got Michelle Macklin, the Queen Admin. Thank you for being here, Michelle. Hey, y'all. Thanks for being here. Please hit the like and share to your social media. We have That's So Crystal. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here and showing your support. Hey, Elizabeth. Good to see you. Hey, Chico Corrupt Chronicles. Thank you for being here. I hope you're good. Hey, Blank Screen Channel. Hope you are doing well. Good to see you. Chico, you like the intro? Something in it for everyone. Listen, the gloves are off. I'm just laying it out for everybody. This is how it is. Hey, Chatty, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Moving on down the line here. Who else we got here in the house? Who else is in this house? Hey, Dragon, love you. Hope you're doing good. We got Earth in the house. Hey, Duchess, I don't get to act a fool. That's so much fun. Come on. Just kidding. Listen, y'all can go act a fool anywhere else you want to, but here we're going to keep it together. We're going to keep ourselves in check. That's right, taking you to church. I'll blow y'all out of here. I'll blow this popsicle stand. It'll make your head spin. Hey, Music City Mom, good to see you. I hope you're having a good evening. Appreciate y'all joining me. Earth, thank you for being a member for 6 months. Hey, Laughing Heart, good to see you back. I appreciate y'all joining me earlier this afternoon while we went over some of the Nightbot little things that you can drop in chat. Remember, you've got the exclamation point clap pray that all the subscribers can use. And there are some special ones that the members can also drop. If you guys remember that. If you're not sure, you can go back and watch my live stream from earlier today where we were making sure that Nightbot was doing its job. So, hey, Tracy Martin, it's good to see you. I hope you're well. Thank you for being here. I see y'all talking about Crystal's live stream. Crystal ain't been live on our YouTuber Survivor house lately. I did see that you have a new Missing Teen in Gastonia. I think I just went over and got ready to share that on my Facebook page. So I'll definitely have to share that in Discord. Wait a minute, you don't want the clap? Come on now. It's not that kind, Elizabeth. Straighten up now. Oh, Lord, blank screen's done making triggered comments. Well, I did not go over to watch his stream. Let me just go ahead and say that out of the gate. Because he has me blocked. And so it will be what it is. You know, he can block me. He can do all of that. Earth says she's not getting taken to church. Listen, I'll take you to church, eat your heart out, and bake you a casserole afterwards. Because that's just how we roll over here. And just because I can.
Did y'all not see it? It was Duchess.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And that's pretty much where we are today. So we're just going to get started on that. AJ has the link, and hopefully she'll be able to come over and join me for this discussion. I did share this link out with Scott Spivey's sister, so she may be watching this live stream. So if you guys want to send her and Scott's family your thoughts, your prayers, I'm sure that they would be really grateful because they have really been going through a lot. Just trying to advocate for Scott to get justice in what has been done. The air conditioning is pumping out in here because I'm freezing. I have to go get my sweatshirt in here. So we're going to get started, and we may have to take some breaks and have some palate cleansers because it is a lot. It is a lot to go over. So if you're just coming in, we're going to discuss the Scott Spivey case. And if you're not familiar with this case, I've done a couple of other live streams to talk about Scott's case. This case is local to me. And it happened just a few miles from where I live. Up on Highway 57 is where this pursuit began and took place up Highway 9 off of 57, starting from the Tractor Supply store. There's a large intersection there at 57 and Highway 9, and went all the way up Highway 9, almost 9 to 10 miles, and ended in a shootout in which Scott Spivey lost his life, and Weldon Boyd and Kenneth Williams walked away scot-free. So if you have not seen those other two videos, please make sure that you go over there and watch those videos so you can bring yourself up to speed on this case. But we appreciate you being here. Make sure that you hit the like. You can hit the dislike. Sub up if you want to. Join the membership. We're glad that you're here because this case, like I said, is local to me, and it's very important because Scott Spivey deserves justice. So the first thing I'm going to do is go over, I want to preface this by saying that I did briefly have a conversation with Jennifer and just asking her, is there any information that you do want me to share out about the trial? As many of you may know or may not know, they actually did have a court hearing, and we're going to read some stuff about that, a couple of different news articles about that. There is this stand your ground showdown that's basically happening in this case. As you know, Jennifer and her family have filed this wrongful death case and hoping to advance it to get the case on Weldon Boyd and Kenneth Williams opened back up because they were not charged with anything. And this new filing raises questions about things that we have talked about in these previous two live streams regarding what happened to Scott Spivey. And these questions involve police conduct, legal strategy, and what really happened that day on Camp Swamp Road. And again, this wrongful death lawsuit has been brought about by the family of Scott Ryan Spivey. And it's providing a lot of fresh details and raising a lot of questions about that fatal roadside shooting. And it has continued to divide people and confound observers almost 2 years later. And if anyone is not familiar with this case, on September the 9th of 2023, Scott Spivey, who was a 33-year-old insurance adjuster from Tabor City, North Carolina, that is right over the North Carolina-South Carolina line, he was shot and killed by Charles Weldon Boyd and Kenneth Bradley Williams on Camp Swamp Road in Horry County, South Carolina. And these two men admit that they pulled the trigger, but claimed they acted in self-defense. And prosecutors agreed, and they declined to press charges against both of these men. But now it is going to be left up to a circuit court judge in Lawrence County, South Carolina, because we can't have the trial here in Horry County because we have law enforcement that is involved in this case. And obviously they don't feel like they're going to be able to get a fair trial here in Horry County, South Carolina. So this case has been moved all the way out to Lawrence, South Carolina. All my South Carolina people may be aware that Lawrence, South Carolina, well, that's about 220 miles west of me. That is near Greenville, South Carolina. And this circuit court judge will now have to decide whether Charles Weldon Boyd and Kenneth Bradley Williams are immune from civil prosecution. But there's a flurry of pre-hearing motions that have to be addressed. So we're going to get into that. Now, I don't know a lot of the details about who and all attended. I wanted to be able to go, but my husband has not been feeling well, and that is quite a trip. That's more than 3 hours away from where I'm at. So I was not able to travel out to Lawrence to go to that hearing, although I really, really, really wanted to be there. So, but what I can tell you, and this comes straight from his family, is that, and we're going to look at some of these articles that are going to talk to us about this, but on May the 28th, the South Carolina Supreme Court, and I'm going to share my screen because I do want you to see one of these articles here. This one comes from Fitz News right here. In an order, and I don't know, we might be able to go to this order. Let me see. No, it didn't take me there. Filed on May the 28th of 2025, the South Carolina Supreme Court appointed Circuit Court Judge Eugene C. Griffith Jr. to preside over the case originally filed by Spivey's sister, Jennifer Spivey Foley, And if the court finds Boyd and Williams acted in lawful self-defense, such a decision could carry sweeping consequences, both civil and criminal. And under South Carolina's Protection of Persons and Property Act, aka Stand Your Ground Law, individuals who use deadly force and are found to have acted in self-defense are granted immunity, not only from criminal prosecution, but also from civil liability. And such a ruling would likely bring the civil case to an abrupt end, halting the Spivey's family's pursuit of justice through the courts. It would also become part of the public record, potentially influencing future legal strategies and shaping how similar cases are handled in South Carolina. Now, meanwhile, there is an ongoing investigation into the law enforcement agency which responded to the shooting, and of course, that is Horry County, where I live. And the mishandling of this case by the Horry County Police Department has already led to the resignation of Chief Deputy Brandon Strickland, who was a very close friend, actually, of Weldon Boyd, and also the termination of Officer Paul Damon Vescovi. And we did discuss that in the last live stream that we talked about with Scott Spivey. So just want to say hey to everybody coming in. Sorry I can't see my chat, so let me go over here to my phone. Hey MK, it's good to see you. I hope you're having a good evening. Hey Heidi Cakes, hope you're well. Appreciate you being here. Hey Matthew 256, so glad to see you. Hope you're doing good. Appreciate you being here. And here we have a picture of Scott Spivey right here. It's a nice looking buck. Now, on this article, like I said, this comes from Fitz News. And there's Weldon right there. This is where this all took place, on Camp Swamp Road. And this was on July the 9th that this article came out. And as we read on in this article, you can find the link to this article and other articles related to this case in the description of this video. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for being here. This article reads further into to say, this week, Boyd and Williams filed a motion asking the court to allow transcripts from the investigation to be admitted as pretrial evidence for consideration in the immunity hearing. And attached to a memorandum in support of the motion were 6 exhibits, including transcripts of police interviews with the defendants and witnesses on the scene. And Laughing Heart, well, you know, if a case is not able to be tried in the county where the crime took place because, you know, the family wants a fair trial, then a lot of times they will seek to find another place in the state where they can feel like that they will get a fair trial. And so it may have just been a matter of selection. So, but if I do find out specifically how Lawrence County, you know, was selected, I will definitely let you know. It's very interesting because that is quite a long way from Horry County. We're talking about up near Greenville. That's on the western side of the state. Pretty far away. Now, according to the attorneys, those interviews contained some previously unreported details that helped to flesh out the series of events that transpired leading up to the roadside shooting. And as court filings seek to admit this new evidence, the story of what happened that day is beginning to take shape, and it's more complex and incomprehensible than previously known. And while the new information helps to better define the situation, it also puts a fine point on the failures of this investigation, which, if any of you guys have followed my channel in the past 4 years, we have talked about corruption in Horry County. We have Tyler Dole's case where the South Carolina DNR did not do their job. Unfortunately, in South Carolina, we have a host of corrupt situations happening all across this state involving law enforcement. It's a sad but true story. And that's not to say that there aren't good law enforcement officers, that there aren't good attorneys, that there aren't great people that are working in our government. But we have some really seedy people that are out there. We call it the Good Old Boys Club here in South Carolina. And they like to try to get one over on us citizens. And that's why I use my channel and my voice as a tax-paying citizen to call out their bullshit. And this is one of those situations. If you guys remember on the previous live stream, we talked about how Paul Vescovi actually wrote down on a piece of paper for Weldon Boyd to act like a victim and then showed it to him. But the big mistake was that he was wearing a body cam, y'all. He was wearing a body cam and it picked it up. Yeah. Now, how are you going to be in law enforcement and write down for a person who just took somebody's life, firing him and the guy in the truck with him through the windshield? And by the way, Scott Spivey was shot in the back. Okay. And we're talking multiple shots were fired. And you're going to write down for the suspect in this murder to act like a victim. It's disgusting. Now, Vescovi said road rage turned self-defense 10-7, and 10-7 is a police code commonly used in reference to a fatality. And in a matter of days, that seemingly premature pronouncement became the official determination of the Horry County Police Department as they closed the investigation. And you can see here on this map, here is where this all started, right here. I live up here on the waterway. See, here's the ocean. You come right down through here. Here we got the waterway. And this is where I live, right here. Isn't that something? You got a whole situation that takes place right here and goes all the way Scott was literally pursued. Starts out here at Boardwalk Billy's, because that's just right down the road from me. I could walk to Boardwalk Billy's from my house. It's just a hop and a skip down the road. We eat there all the time. That's where Scott was at the bar, having lunch and some beer. Then he got in his truck, whether that was a good decision or not. And this is where he starts going down Highway 9. This is where Scott Spivey supposedly aims his gun at a 911 caller. The pursuit continues on out here. Here's where Spivey runs Boyd off the road. Get that down. I hate the heading on this thing. You really just can't see it good. And then here, that's the first 911 call. There's Weldon Boyd calling 911. And a series of events takes place. They turn on to Camp Swamp Road. The fourth call to 911, or the third call, the fourth call, and then the incident that takes place. It's not a good scene, y'all. It's truly not. And this actually walks you through on this. This is a great... I just wish that I didn't have this huge heading right here. And you can hear those 911 calls on the previous live streams that we've played. But if y'all do have any questions, you can let me know. We've actually looked at video footage of Weldon pursuing Scott Spivey going down Highway 9. It's a heartbreaking situation. I just don't feel like taking the law into your own hands. I don't know how you can claim stand your ground if you're riding 9 miles away pursuing somebody. Why is that even a question? Why is it even a question if it stands your ground? I can't make it make sense. Now, according in this article that Fitz News put out on the 9th of July, it says, as previously reported, 911 calls made by witnesses provide a general outline of the day. But the witness statements included in the exhibits, statements that the defense calls present sense impressions, and yes, I am making the quotations that you guys can't see me making, and excited utterances provide important perspective for the events that occurred prior to those calls. Because again, Scott Spivey's route began at Boardwalk Billy's in North Myrtle, where he spent the afternoon watching Clemson football, consuming food and drink, and he left that bar at 5:06. The first documented event occurred on Highway 9, roughly 5 miles into his drive towards home in Tabor City, North Carolina. Now, caller number 1, the driver of a white Nissan who was identified in the court filings as Blaze Ward, and other witnesses noted that Spivey had aimed his gun at her and other motorists near Charter Drive in Longs. That is Colonial Charter's neighborhood. That is just as number 9 is crossing over Highway 57. There is a neighborhood. As soon as you cross over Highway 57, you go up to that very next stoplight. Left, there will be like a shopping center with a bank and several little restaurants and such. And to the right is Charter Drive, and that is Colonial Charter's neighborhood. And that is exactly where that took place. At least 3 witnesses, along with Weldon Boyd and Kenneth Williams, reported Spivey's erratic driving for several miles along Highway 9. They say Spivey ran Boyd off the road near Aberdeen, a little more than 8 miles into the drive. Boyd's truck was attached to a trailer loaded with furniture. Here's a key part, is in that video that AJ and I reviewed on that last live stream, showed them going past. This was a random camera that was on the outside of a business. And in that video, you can see Weldon pulling the trailer. They are on the inside lane going down Highway 9, flying. But they aren't beside Scott Spivey. They are not in front. They are pursuing him behind him. Witnesses noted that he struggled to maintain control of the vehicle and its load when Spivey brake checked him and forced him off the road. I'm going to be honest with you. If somebody is riding my tail, I'm not afraid to break check somebody. Hey, Shay. Shay says, no good, disgusting, corrupt police officers, solicitors, and attorney general in Horry County. Let them walk away free. They are all friends and they're all connected. Absolutely, sis. Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing good. And then, of course, it says that there was a couple that was traveling that same stretch of road at the same time described for police. The dangerous cat and mouse driving that continued as traffic made its way north on Highway 9. And it goes into this detail of the back and forth. But what I find interesting is, had there not been a pursuit, couldn't law enforcement just have pulled Scott Spivey over and taken care of it from that aspect? Because if that would have happened, Scott Spivey would have still been alive. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Do you agree that it's okay to pursue somebody and take matters into your own hands, or should you just let law enforcement handle it? If they found that he was driving under the influence or that he was driving erratically, you could have notified law enforcement. They could have came out there. They could have pulled him over. They could have handled the situation. If he needed to be arrested and taken to jail and charged, ticketed, whatever the situation is, it could have been handled by law enforcement, and Scott Spivey would still be here today. Shay says he ran himself off the road, witnessed by a couple who were behind him, and they have given their statement. He was being the dangerous one hauling a trailer with furniture. Yeah. Perhaps the most contentious single moment, and the one portrayed differently by the parties to the lawsuit, involved the moment when Spivey pulled over and exited his truck on Camp Swamp Road. In previous filings, attorneys for the plaintiffs described it this way. When Spivey exited his vehicle, Boyd and Williams opened fire, emptying multiple rounds into Spivey and causing his death. Although Spivey fired his weapon after being mortally wounded by Boyd, neither Boyd nor Williams was struck by Scott. Who fired and who fired first is at the very heart of the controversy. Now, AJ and I did go over this in our last live stream, and it does appear that the one shot that Scott was able to get out actually went into the bed of his truck. And that was only after he was being fired upon. He actually got out of his truck and asked them to stop following him. Daddy's girl says he told on his own self in all those calls. He sure enough did. Shay said, somebody please tell me that the 911 operator was fired. Why did he not ever tell him to stop chasing him? That part, 100%. Now, witnesses described for police what they observed with their own individual perspectives. Caller 2, identified in the court filing as Frank McMurrow, described it this way. So I'm about like right where that car is, and this guy in the black just locks his brakes up, jumps out with a pistol, and I go, holy shit, pistol. And then I saw him bring it up, right? And then as I'm going by, I saw this gentleman just holding like he was just drawn. And then it went fucking crazy. That is a pretty crazy statement, don't you think? And then when the shooting began, Blaze Ward told investigators she could not see Boyd and Williams from her position on the road, but described the scene as she tried to escape to safety. So the guy in the black truck was obviously shooting, and it just it looks like dust, just bah, 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 and going everywhere. And I'm like, that's where I started screaming. I was like, oh my God, he's shooting. I was like, I don't want him to kill me. This whole thing gets me right here. Because number one, if you have somebody going down the road and there's this erratic behavior, why are you following them? I mean, can you make that make sense? Because I can't. And the human element of the case complicated matters further. As it turns out, Weldon Boyd wasn't the only party acquainted with members of law enforcement arriving on the scene. More than one first responder recognized Spivey. One officer's comments were captured in the transcript, person number 4. But you know what's weird? I know that guy that's dead. This is so out of character for him. He's a church-going guy. I think he had to have, and that's inaudible, something. That doesn't sound like him at all. It's a detail that introduces both emotional weight and ambiguity to the case. With a narrative already colored by many facets and viewpoints, the added dimensions provided by the transcripts bring both clarity and confusion. Perhaps the most important factors underlying the case and Spivey's death are things we can never know because they are questions that only Spivey could answer. And he's not here because somebody took his life. They took the law into their own hands, and they didn't have to be accountable for it. Now, in this next part, this is the motion in Lamont and discovery matters. And attorneys for the defendants said in their filings the transcript should be admitted without the need for in-person testimony. They claimed to have made good faith effort to resolve the matter informally with plaintiffs, but concluded further discussion would be unproductive. The judge's decision on the motion will determine the scope of evidence to be considered as he weighs the specific circumstances to which led to Spivey's death and whether the admitted shooters are entitled to immunity under South Carolina law. Attorneys for the defendants also filed 2 motions earlier this week. That first motion requests biological samples from Spivey's autopsy so they can be independently tested, and that was a hair follicle test. And the second seeks a protective order that would limit the public release of materials obtained through discovery in the case. Citing Rule 26 of the South Carolina Rules of Civil Procedure, the defense argued that the plaintiff's legal team, led by attorney Mark Tinsley, has engaged in a coordinated effort to try the case in the court of public opinion rather than by a jury. And in support of the motion, the defense submitted a detailed list of media leaks and private communications they were claimed they were improperly disseminated. And among the examples provided were excerpts of Boyd's deposition quoted in a Wall Street Journal article, dash cam footage released to local television news outlets, and a series of text messages in which witnesses allegedly shared information and collaborated with the plaintiff's legal team outside of formal legal channels. The motion also invoked Rule 3.6 of South Carolina Rules of Professional Conduct, which prohibit attorneys from making public statements that could materially prejudice a legal proceeding. And the defendants are asking the court to restrict the use and distribution of discovery materials going forward. So this is very interesting for sure. So I did reach out to Jennifer and I asked her how things at the court went, which I did see some updates. And I don't know that Jennifer is going to, be listening or not. I just know that her family needs all of your thoughts and prayers because I know this is a very difficult time. But I did want to give you a couple of updates about what happened with these motions. So let me get back over here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. And this is what I know. Robert E. Lee rescinded his motion to stay the case, and the Stand Your Ground immunity hearing will move forward. This is very important. Hey, Camshaft, it's good to see you. Welcome, everybody coming in. Appreciate y'all being here. Daddy's girl says, Scott and my daughter-in-law's brother were very close. He was a pallbearer. She also went to school with Tyler Dole's mom. Both families have been devastated, added by the lack of proper protocol. Thank you for being here, Daddy's girl. Hey, Fuzzy Puff, it's good to see you. Thank you for being here. I hope you're good. It's good to see you, Camshaft. Hadn't seen you in a while. So, as far as I know, there is no scheduling timeline yet for that Stand Your Ground immunity hearing. But I will keep you posted as soon as I do know something. Now, the motion of Lamine was basically denied. The defense wants Blaze and McMurray's statements to be their 911 calls. And remember, Blaze and McMurray were the two people that I just reviewed in this Fitz News article that were the witnesses, apparently, that gave their statements about what happened that day. And the defense wants their statements to be the 911 calls and the statements that they made to Horry County Police Department, because getting subpoenas across state lines is apparently difficult. No, it's not. There are flaws in the interviews that Horry County Police Department conducted. Let's be honest here. And we have two officers that are no longer with the department because of their behavior. First of all, Brandon Strickland should have never went to the call because he's a personal friend of Weldon Boyd. Someone else should have been called to that, but I guarantee you that Weldon had called Brandon. Listen, they were good friends. They hunted together. He had no business going out to that call, because then you have people that are impartial to a case. He had no business involving himself. That is why he recused himself, because he quickly saw how this was going to go. And then you have Paul Vescovi, writing down stuff, act like a victim and all of it. No. Do you think without all of these leaks that any of that would have ever came out? No. Did Horry County know that happened? You guarantee they knew it. But they weren't going to say a word about it. And see, that's a problematic situation for me, because I've already covered the Tyler Dole case and will continue to cover Tyler's case. These people are scheming. They'll do anything to line their pockets, but they don't care about justice for victims and justice for this community. Shay says, if you support Scott's family and live in South Carolina, please remember Alan Wilson, who is running for governor of our state, declined to file charges against these two monsters. Shay, I'm telling you right now, if he thinks he's getting my vote, he can just go ahead and forget about it. I'm so angry at him, and the fact that he's running for governor, it's a disgrace. Do not vote for Alan Wilson. Yes, if you're in South Carolina, do not vote for Alan Wilson. Don't get me started on the stuff that he has irritated me. He also lets PDF files off easy. when it comes to their court cases. Now, he'll tell you otherwise, but I'm telling you right now, these people get minimal time, if any at all, doing deviant stuff to kids. Do not vote for this man. He tries to make it look good on paper, but I've seen all I need to see. The truth speaks for itself. And if you live in South Carolina, well, you know these things already. Social media can be your friend. There's a lot of information out there. Now, McMurrow gives an order of events. Scott jumps out of the truck. The slide is locked back. Yells and moves arm. Weldon's gun is braced on dash, and Weldon unloads through his windshield. Scott runs for cover in his truck. The HCPD detective that interviewed him on scene changes the order of events and says that Scott raises his arm and shoots, and then Weldon returns fire. So do you see why this is important? Let me repeat that one more time for those in the back. McMurrow gives an order of events. Scott Spivey jumps out of the truck. Slide is locked back. Yells and moves arm. Weldon's gun is braced on the dash, and Weldon unloads through his windshield. Scott runs for cover in his truck. But the detective that interviewed Weldon on the scene changes the order of events to say that Scott raised his arm and actually shot first. And then Weldon returned fire. The witnesses need to be deposed to get a straight story under oath. I have to agree that it is critical to bring these witnesses in there to be deposed and under oath, look these people in the face and say it. Because something ain't right. Hey, T. Marie, darling. It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Chico said, no, I remember when you covered that and you're speaking facts. South Carolina, stand up and tell him to sit the fuck down. Yeah, exactly. Okay, darling. I hope you have a good night. Thank you for being here, Crystal. Love you, sis. Now, witnesses have apparently gone MIA since February, y'all. One of them was supposed to do a deposition mid-February, but they never showed up because the defense was pressuring them. Sorry, y'all, I got the hiccups. Let me get some water. I ate my pasta salad and I got the hiccups. So one of these witnesses was supposed to do a deposition mid-February, but they never showed up because the defense was pressuring them to claim a different story than what they saw. That's why they don't want them to come in there, because they don't want to have to face off with that. These people have been putting pressure on them to say something different than what they originally stated. Also, another update that I want to give you is that the judge has agreed to let Scott Spivey's hair be tested. I don't know what they're testing for. Maybe they're testing to see if he has drugs in his system. I don't know exactly why they need a hair follicle test, but the judge has agreed to let Scott's hair be tested, and he will decide later if he will allow it to be admissible in court. So if you've got your notepads out, make sure you're taking notes on this case if you're following it closely. Now, according to the family, they don't know how anything Scott might have done days, weeks, months, or years, because, a hair follicle test goes back quite some time, would change or impact the choices that Weldon or Bradley made that day. I don't know how that's going to impact it either, because it still doesn't make it okay to take somebody else's life in a quote, end quote, stand your ground situation that I don't consider to be a stand your ground situation. The fact that we even have to go to court to have to duel it out in a situation to discuss whether or not this is an actual situation, I can't understand it. Shay says they're not going to find anything. That's just something else they're doing to try to delay this case. I think that I agree with you. Now, the judge did issue a protection on all new evidence placed into discovery. So if you got your notepads out, you might want to get this down, because this is factual information. We don't speculate over here. The judge issued a protection on all new evidence placed in discovery. But if they were truly concerned about the media and all the stuff that's been put out in the media, they would have filed that motion when they found out that other people had found the calls back in February. But they waited till last week. Why? Elizabeth said, who wanted the test? The defense, Weldon and Bradley's attorneys. Now, I do know that the defense has not complied with motions to turn over medical records and deleted Facebook messages until the judge granted the protection. And I know that their family doesn't probably think that's fair. I don't think it's fair either. But according to the family, the judge seems fair, reasonable, seems to have a lot of common sense, and they feel pretty pleased about how he is handling this hearing so far. And I really hope that the judge will see clearly that this is not a stand your ground situation, and that they will not shut off the right for Scott's family to seek justice for him. Shay says the justice system in the U.S. needs to prepare for the future of real crime fighters. Social media is real, and without it, my nephew's case would have never been turned over to SLED. And if you're not aware, Shay Boyd is Tyler Dole's aunt and my very good friend. And we are going to keep fighting for justice for Tyler. And hopefully we'll have another live stream. I feel like that maybe it's time we walk Tyler's case back through. Maybe we should go back through old 911 calls. And, I've seen people posting that they want to go back out on the waterway and show how rough the jetty truly is out there. That people have no respect for what it's like out here. It's easy to look on your computer screen and speculate and make up all of these things about what you think might have happened. But until you're here and you're living in this state and you know what it's like and what all of these different factors that weigh into these situations, you have no idea. And going after these families, doxing them, threatening them, putting out false information, it doesn't help bring justice for the family. And it burns me up. Chico said, I'd like that because I missed a lot about Tyler's case. Well, maybe Shay and AJ, you know, we'll talk about that and maybe we can do that sometime. Because we still haven't got answers. But I'm telling you, something nefarious happened that day because it doesn't make sense. And we've got all the videos. Shay and I have been out on a jet ski. Her and Brian have been out on the jetty. I've been on the jetty with Michelle and Allie. I have walked. I have searched. This family has searched. We've had tons of people out there. It just doesn't add up. What person goes out there with their so-called friend on a very cold day on January the 26th of 2023 to duck hunt, knowing good and well that you can't take a firearm on the jetty because it's illegal and it's a $500 fine, but you do it anyway. And then suddenly Tyler's boat starts to sink. And you claim that you can't get off the jetty when you can clearly walk right off that jetty and right up the beach into Sunset Beach and get help. The tide never comes up so far that you can't walk right off that jetty onto the beach. Now, it might take you a little bit because it's a couple miles. He wasn't stranded on that jetty. He could have walked off that jetty right onto Bird Island, right up Sunset Beach, and went and got help. But he didn't. But I tell you what did happen. When he got back to that boat landing at Windjammer Village, and Shay and Reed and Brian was there, somebody had taken his gun and his waders. Why? Law enforcement didn't show up to take his gun into evidence. How do we know that that gun wasn't fired? How do we know something else didn't happen? We wouldn't be here today if South Carolina Department of Natural Resources knew how to investigate a missing persons case. But they don't even know what NamUs is. They didn't even know how to file a case in the NCIC. They didn't even want to file a missing persons case until me and Shay stayed on their ass and demanded that it be done, because any person that goes missing in the state of South Carolina can get a missing persons report filed for them within 24 hours. But Ronnie Floyd refused to do it. He told the family that they needed to go to church and get over it because he was probably dead. He probably drowned, even though he was never found. These are the things that bother me, because this is my community where I pay taxes. These are my friends. If it'll happen to my friend's family, it's happening to other people. Do you know how many tourists come down here every year to vacation? I wouldn't consider it to be safe by far. Because if you think my law enforcement agency is going to look for you in that water, by the way, there was an 18-year-old and a 21-year-old that had a drowning incident right up here in North Myrtle Beach. They found the 18-year-old and he was hospitalized. I ain't heard a peep. About what happened to that 18-year-old that they found. But the 21-year-old, Coast Guard came out and searched for 24 hours. He was never found. No name, no missing persons report. We don't even know what his name is. We don't even know who it is that's missing. Do you think that sounds like justice? There's a 21-year-old man who lost his life and nobody even knows his name? It's disgusting. This person deserves dignity. And he deserves to have somebody out there looking for him. And he has a name. He's not just a him, a them. He's a person. He has a name. And he deserves to have a missing persons report filed. And it needs to be public so that people will know when they come here on vacation to that area, hey, there's a person that's out there missing. And if you see something, say something. Even if it's you find remains that wash up on the shore, you need to call law enforcement because it could be somebody that's been missing in the water. But you know what? There's been nothing but radio silence ever since that's happened, and I don't like it. And don't think this isn't the first time this has happened, because it sure enough has. Shay, my sister, right here in the chat, she lives on the Intercoastal Waterway just like me. Shay, am I telling a lie? She'll tell you. She knows I'm telling the truth, because we've talked about it. For sure. That's why it's so very important for us, and why it's been my mission for the last 4 years, when I considered myself part of the true crime community, to stand up against things just like this. And this is why I'm still covering with dignity and respect. Because these lives right here matter. These families are devastated. They don't have the answers that they deserve. These people in places of power have done a disservice to these families, and they just want to wash their hands of it and move on. And it's time for the public and these communities to pull together and wake up and realize that we're going to have to vote these people out of office. We're going to have to stand up for the change that we want to be and the change that we want to see. Shay says, I'm starting to wonder if that person exists at all. I'm going to contact the news about that tomorrow, because something is not adding up with that situation. I agree, Shay, because you and I have talked about this. How many other people have gone missing that we don't know anything about? Daddy's Girl, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. I really appreciate you. As locals, it's our duty. As tax-paying citizens, we have a right to know what's happening in our communities and to be treated fairly. And thank you for becoming a member.
Seatbelts, everyone! Double Dutch bus coming down the street.
Shay said they've never released his name, and I find that to be extremely strange. I did see that, Laughing Heart. Someone in Polly's yesterday drowned, and they've not recovered him either. And they never even said if it was a male, a female, a local, or a tourist. Yeah, I was following up on that today to see if there was any further information. Nothing. And I understand if they're investigating, just like Shay said here, and they can't release the name because he was never in the ocean that night. That could be true too. But why put it out that he drowned in the ocean if he wasn't in the ocean? What's funny about these cases is that we don't ever hear anything else. It just goes silent. And then people forget about it. And then I have to always come back to it, because I'm like, whatever happened to those people? And you know, if Tyler was wearing a life jacket, he would have been found. Christian Holden said that Tyler was wearing a life jacket on the 911 call. But was he? Was he wearing a float coat? I got questions. It's like two truths and a lie. You know what I'm talking about? Like they tell you a half-truth, but then it's laced with these non-truths or exaggerations of the situation. And then when you ask the hard questions or you need their help, oh, don't call me because I don't want to be involved. They don't help search. They don't want to give up any information. Or they do like Weldon and Kenneth and they, oh my God, it was a stand your ground situation. I had every right to do what I did. All the while it doesn't make any sense. I just cannot wrap my head around it. And who else is going to stand up for these people? And that's not to say that there aren't law enforcement officers that don't care and that don't do an excellent job in this community. Because when I did Tyler's vigil, there's an officer, Corey, that is a good friend. And he helped me to coordinate the police officers that came out to show support and helped to coordinate the event to make sure everyone was safe at Tyler's vigil. And he's a wonderful guy. I have his cell phone number. I could call him at the drop of a hat. If I ever need anything, I could call Corey on his cell phone. Sometimes it's the few bad seeds that reflect badly on the entire department. Because not everybody is bad. There's good and bad in everything. But law enforcement is not where we need to have the bad seeds at. Like, we got to weed those out. The old boys club, that's got to go. We're in 2025, y'all. That time has long passed. I know we're South Carolina and we're a little slow. We're like the last to come in on things sometimes. But this is just not going to stand, you know? Yeah, Matthew. And speaking of that, you know, we got JP Miller. I mean, how many more crazy things can happen in Myrtle Beach? We also have Doc Annell. He was in the Tiger King. Y'all know who that is? Yeah, he don't live far from me and Shay. He gonna be doing some time in prison too. We have a lot of different stuff going on down here. And these are the things that I'm going to be talking about on my channel because, you know, what's done in the dark, well, it's going to have to be brought to light. And people need to know about what's happening down here. And I tell people all the time, if you come to my town to vacation, don't you let go of your kids' hands. Don't you ever, if you're a woman, don't you ever go out by yourself, day or night. For any reason, it is not safe. It is not safe. This is a high trafficking place, especially right now in the middle of summer. Back in the early 90s when I graduated high school, my parents sent me down here by myself with all my friends for my graduation for a whole week and a half. They never once thought about any of this stuff. In today's time, I would never send my kid down here for a whole week and a half in a hotel for graduation. You have to educate your children. 2025, it ain't like it used to be in the 80s and 90s, okay? This is a dangerous world that we live in, and predators are everywhere. And now that we have the internet, they're all over the internet too. If you got kids on Snapchat, you better educate your kids. You got kids on YouTube, you got kids on Facebook, you have to educate your children. Because if you don't, somebody else will do it and they'll find out the hard way. And we don't want that to happen. Not everybody is your friend. Yeah, and be careful driving down Highway 9. You could be chased down and killed. Facts. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, that's true. And there's some crazy people on the road down here. I mean, when tourists are in town, I mean, half these people don't know how to drive. They're lost. They're doing 30 miles an hour in the left-hand lane. It causes my blood pressure to go up. That's wonderful That's wonderful. Hey, Twist. I hope you're doing good. It's good to see you. That's exactly right. Yes, Scott did get shot in the back. Sure enough. You're from Florence County? Well, we appreciate you coming down. Listen, I've been to a couple of the protests, just kind of observing. I'm just really disappointed that he's back and he's going to just think everybody's going to, you know, you got to watch out. Snakes ain't always in the grass. Sharks ain't always in the water. Thieves ain't always in the night. And God ain't always at the altar. And if you don't listen to Jelly Roll and Lil Wayne, I guess you probably wouldn't know that song. But that is a very true statement. Hey, Choo Choo Mommy. It's good to see you, darling. How you doing? Thanks for being here. Hi, Jennifer. It's good to see you back. How you been? Matthew, you can feel free to contact me. My email is duchess4themissing@gmail.com. I'll put it in chat for you. I don't know how many mods I got over here right now. You can feel free to email me. I'm also on Facebook under Duchess Discussions. You can reach out to me there as well. If there's any information you want to get to me, please do send it to me. I'll be happy to cover whatever you need me to. But these cases are so important. And I want to show you a quick video. Let me share my screen here. Let me get over here. Here we go. I want you to watch this video from Scott Spivey's cousin. This is from WPDE ABC 15 on Facebook. And this is fair use. But I don't want to interrupt what he's saying because I feel like, I want you to hear what he has to say. I think it's very important. So I just want you guys to listen to this video. It's about 52 seconds. So let's play this little clip right here. Again, this is Scott Spivey's cousin speaking on his character. Take down this picture here. Hang on a second. Get over here and take this down. All right. And I'm going to blow this up so you guys can see that better. All right. Can y'all see that? All right. Here we go.
A lot of the things that they allege that Scott did that day, that's just not in his character at all. Was he perfect? I'm not either. We've all made mistakes. I think maybe one of the biggest mistakes Scott made that day was stopping in the middle of the road. But like Mr. Weldon said, he was terrified. He knew he was getting chased. And I don't think he wanted that fight to go to his parents' house.
During the hearing, the judge granted a protective order over some discovery and granted the release of Spivey's hair sample that the defense says could determine if drugs were in his system at the time. Both attorneys agreed to subpoena the 3 911 callers to speak as witnesses during the trial. The next court date is not yet set, but we're told there will likely be another hearing before the trial.
And that's so true. None of us are perfect. But it didn't seem like that was in his character. So why would they even need that? Can you make it make sense? Because I can't. And I do believe Shay when she says they're just trying to come up with ways to stall this case. And of course, this is the article that I had pulled up. And it pretty much just reads about the same thing that I've already told you. Now, some of the stuff that they have in this was very interesting in this WPDE article, because I thought it was very interesting. But I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. But it says that his family sat in court to listen to the defense say that there were 26 pills found in Scott Spivey's car, which, by the way, wasn't a car, it was a truck, and that he was drunk and that he was on steroids. And I thought that just blew me out of the water when I read this article. And of course, that is where you have Scott's cousin coming in saying that Scott was a great guy. And a lot of the things they allege Scott did that day are not in his character at all. Was he perfect? No. But I'm not either. We all make mistakes. And if I was getting chased, he said he knew he was getting chased, and I don't think he wanted that fight to go to his parents' house. And that's why he stopped. I thought that was crazy that they even said that he had 26 pills in his, well, it's supposed to be his truck. How come they're saying car? So I guess that's why they decided they needed this hair sample. And again, the stand your ground law. The court decides whether you're entitled to immunity from prosecution based on South Carolina's self-defense laws or South Carolina's Protection Persons and Property Act. First, the court should determine whether self-defense or any other applicable provision of law applies to the facts of the defendant's case. If they do not, then the court should analyze the facts of the case under South Carolina's Protection of Persons and Property Act Stand Your Ground law to determine whether immunity should be granted. And if the court denies immunity at the Stand Your Ground hearing, the defendant can still present evidence of self-defense to the jurors at the trial. But again, I'm still confused at why we are even having an issue about a Stand Your Ground hearing if somebody pursues somebody for over 9 miles down Highway 9. How is that standing your ground? If you're in your vehicle and you're protecting yourself in your vehicle, or you're at your home and you're protecting yourself from somebody coming in your home, I can see that. But in nowhere in common sense land am I standing my ground if I see someone out in the middle of when I'm not at my home, but I'm in my own vehicle, and they are, out on the highway. I could turn my vehicle around, call law enforcement, and then go to safety. I could go to safety and take myself out of that situation, out of harm's way. But instead, Weldon and Kenneth put themselves right in the middle of the situation. Matthew, welcome to the Dutch Bus Fare Card. We're so glad to have you. Thank you so much. Jennifer said, have you already discussed the video about the cops or something talking about deleting a voice recording or some video? I had just seen it on Facebook a few times. Well, there's been a couple of other previous videos that we've done on Scott Spivey's case. And if you want to go back and check through those, you can certainly do that. Now, as far as anything new, as far as any of those, that's why I'm waiting for the court to review all of those things. And, I'm going to try to see if I can FOIA to see what information that I can possibly get. But what I do know is this. I know that Scott Spivey of Tabor City, North Carolina, was shot to death by Weldon and Bradley on September 9th, 2023 in Loris, South Carolina. And that was after that 10-mile road rage incident. And that ended in what appears to have been a 5-mile chase of Scott Spivey, which I don't consider to be a stand your ground situation. Can y'all hear me okay? Let me get myself back in the center here. Put a 1 in chat if y'all can hear me. I kind of booted myself there. Hey, Catering Wench. So good to see you. And what I have surmised out of all of this information, I can't help it. But seemingly, Weldon's connections at the HCPD, where law enforcement officers were engaged in these multiple acts of corruption, well, it sure gave Weldon a soft place to land, didn't it? Now, I'm assuming this stand your ground hearing will be held later this year, and I'll let you guys know when I find out that's going to be. But from what I understand, the attorneys for all three parties will jointly ask 3 of the so-called 5 witnesses, because supposedly there was 5 witnesses, by the way. The ones Weldon says saw everything and support his story, to sit for those depositions. Well, 2 of those witnesses, by the way, in case you didn't know, live in Virginia. That's witnesses number 2 and 3, by the way. And one lives in North Carolina. And that would be Blaze. I just want to know if they're actually going to have to come in and take the oath and testify in person, because they should have to. Because that's the only way we're going to get real answers. And I do know that Weldon and Bradley's attorneys are now going to be required to turn over Weldon's medical records to Scott Spivey's sister, as well as those Facebook messages that Weldon told Bradley to delete 4 days after they murdered Scott Spivey. If you want to watch some really good coverage of this, I would highly suggest going over and following Liz Farrell and Mandy Matney at the True Sunlight podcast. They have done fantastic work on keeping things in South Carolina involving corruption and things like that at the forefront. And they do an excellent job. And again, that is the True Sunlight podcast. And you may remember them as covering, they used to be called the Murdaugh Murders podcast or the Cup of Justice podcast. And when I'm working around the house, that is what I listen to to keep me up to date on everything that's going on. They have some really good podcasts going on over there about other things that are going on in South Carolina, and there has been a lot lately. But some of these witnesses, I think their stories are falling short. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see how this turns out. But I do hope that it is in favor of Scott Spivey's family, because Scott deserves justice. He should still be here. And I will keep you informed when that next hearing is going to be. But given Horry County Police Department's record in this investigation and 2 officers no longer with the department after their actions, I have a lot of questions. And I'm assuming that they're going to take that hair sample because they want to find out if Scott Spivey is going to test for signs of steroid abuse or something that they contend was behind Scott's so-called rage, as Weldon Boyd put it, that day, despite a toxicology test not showing signs that Scott was using steroids at the time of the incident, in case you guys didn't know that. Shay, you're so welcome. I love you too, sis. Shay says, I love you, and I'm so thankful you were there for me from the beginning of our devastating loss. People don't remember that you were rescued from those jetties. I certainly was. In 2002, I almost drowned out there. That water is no joke, y'all. It will pull you under and not let you go. The rip current is very dangerous, and the jetties has very sharp rocks out there. I fought for my life for hours before somebody found me in that water. But I was already unconscious. I had another person hold me afloat who didn't know how to swim. And thank God that he was brave enough to jump out of the boat with a life jacket and swim to me to put a life jacket around my neck and hold on to me until someone rescued us. And guess what, guys? It wasn't Horry County that came to my rescue. I was in the South Carolina part of the jetty, but it wasn't Horry County Fire and Rescue that rescued me. It wasn't Horry County PD. It wasn't the Coast Guard. It was Sunset Beach Fire Department and a brand new boat that they purchased with taxpayer dollars. And I was the first person to be rescued with that boat, ever. And if it wasn't for those brave firefighters that came out there that day in February of 2002, I wouldn't be here today talking to you. And that's why I have my channel. Because I'm going to use my voice to stand up for other people that aren't getting the justice that they deserve. And sis, you know I'm always going to have your back. And we're never going to give up seeking justice and answers in Tyler's case or for Scott. Hey, Velvet, it's good to see you. How are you? Thank you, Daddy's girl. Me too. Me too. I made the front page of the newspaper, and that's really not how you want to be known, is by having a whole front page of the newspaper with your face all over it. But I had some really amazing firefighters. I was in a coma for a few days, and they came to the hospital and brought me flowers and came to visit me. And when I woke up, they were there. And one of the young firefighters that rescued me, I was I was the first rescue that he had ever had in the water, and he cried and cried when I finally woke up. He was so thankful. He said, I just don't know if I could have continued being a firefighter if you didn't make it. We have some really amazing people that are in law enforcement. We have some really amazing people that work at our fire and rescue department. And I owe my life to those people. And that's why it is really a dishonor to have people working in the same departments that are doing the things that they're doing and not bringing justice and helping these families like they should. I'm not a detective. I'm not law enforcement, but my power is my voice. And I'm going to stand up for what's right. So tonight, when I leave you from this podcast, please remember to share your thoughts and prayers with Scott Spivey's family. Jennifer needs all the strength and prayers that you can send her. They have really been through a lot. And please share your thoughts and prayers with Shay and Tyler's father, Brian, and Tyler's mother and his family with his brother Reed, because they still don't have answers. Tyler's been missing since January 26th of 2023. And SLED has had this case for more than 19 months, and we still don't have any answers from them. Yes, exactly. I had a life jacket on only because somebody jumped out of the boat after the boat crashed into the jetty. Because I didn't have a life jacket on. He jumped out, didn't know how to swim, and put that life jacket around me and then held me in the water. And it was freezing cold, y'all. And after they pulled him out of the water, he had a heart attack. He had a heart attack and had to go to the cardiac care unit at a different hospital than me. And when I woke up, I didn't even know where I was at. And God bless that man, because he's gone on to be with Jesus. He passed away just a few years after our accident from heart problems. But I'm so thankful for him, because if it hadn't have been for him, I wouldn't have ever been found, because nobody was going to be out there looking for me. Yes, y'all, please do continue to pray for Shay. And because we're doing all that we can working behind the scenes. And when I can bring you guys a new update, I will. But I think it's really important that we just continue to share what we do know about these cases, because somebody out there knows something. That's why we always say, if you see something, say something. Don't be afraid to take a stand and come forward and tell law enforcement or tell someone what you know, because it could save somebody's life. It could bring a family the truth, the justice, and the peace of mind that they need to find some type of closure in a situation where they're desperate and hopeful for answers. You can be the change. Be the change that you want to see. If it was your family, you would want somebody to do that for you. And that's why I try to encourage people to be that person for somebody else. Fuzzy Puff, I'm so glad to see you, and I'm sorry that you're crying. I know this is an emotional situation for sure. But just know we're going to keep working. I'm going to keep bringing you all the new information that I have on this case, and I appreciate you guys being so invested. It really means a lot to these families who are seeking these answers and trying to get the justice that they deserve. And Shay says, may justice be served for Scott and his family. I pray the ones who took him from his family are put behind bars and they don't get to see their loved ones ever again, just like Scott's family. Yeah. No justice, no peace. I agree with that. Thank you guys so very much for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button and share this out to get this factual awareness out there. AJ obviously was not able to join me tonight, and she certainly was missed, because she always makes me laugh, because she always has something to say. And that's why she's AJ always something. So she probably was busy, and I do understand that. But when I have some more updates, guys, I will be back. I'm going to be talking about the Megan Jackson case. As many of you know, we've talked about that before on my channel, and the coroner finally got his sentence. So I'm probably going to have a live. I think I'm going to do it Wednesday, early evening, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to share those updates because, listen, I'm not true crime, guys, but I will talk about cases in my area that are important to me and my community, because South Carolina is my home. I'm a Carolina girl, and I'm still going to use my voice for what's right. And we're going to do other things. We're going to go on adventures around Myrtle Beach. I'm going to take you guys to see where Doc Antle lives. I'm going to take you on some road trips. We're going to possibly, I'm going to talk about Heather Elvis's case. I know her parents, and I'm hoping that they'll be willing to sit down and talk to me about her. I know they have been through so much, and they've never found real resolution in Heather's case. And my husband knows them pretty well, and they're just wonderful people. And that's another life that was senselessly taken. And I don't feel like there's really ever been any justice for her case either. Not the kind of justice that her family deserves. And I don't feel like that Micah and Chris, I don't feel like they got any justice either. These people are just out walking around free, and their lives have been lost. And their families are left without answers. So that's why it's very important that we keep their names and their faces out there, because the truth matters. Their lives matter. They deserve dignity. They deserve justice. And they deserve respect. So I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to go check on my hubby. I hope everyone has a wonderful week, and I'll try to catch up with you on Wednesday, and we're going to look at the sentencing for Chris Dontel in the case of the coroner and the mother, Megan Jackson. We talked about that case recently. So be looking for that live stream link on my YouTube wall and on my Facebook. And until next time, y'all take care of each other. Stay safe out there. And remember, if you see something, say something. If you want to send me a message, you can reach me on my email at duchessforthemissing@gmail.com. And I'm going to drop that again. And I hope everybody has a wonderful week. And remember, stay hydrated out there. Heat exhaustion is real. My husband is still getting over that. And it's been really tough. And it's been so hot. It's like walking through mayonnaise outside. So make sure y'all are staying hydrated. Stay cool out there. And be kind to yourself. Take care, everybody. Bye, y'all.
We started a game we never got to finish.
I was just fooling about.
I wasn't.
Working hard, but we never had a breath.
I'm your huckleberry.
On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Flex. I said beggars never choose, winners never lose. Who the fuck is you? About to take a snooze. Begging tell the truth, yeah, begging tell the truth. Lying to yourself, but in your eyes you got no clue. I come back like Spino and spin the vinyl. Don't come back with my flow, there'll be no survival. I'm defiant with the rules everywhere that I go. But I lay low if I pick the high road, yeah. And it goes, no rest for the wicked at all. And they know, working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Flex, 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 flex. Give me the jewels, give me the goose, give me the good shit, keep it brand new. I had to move, switch fuels. I was getting kinda sick of the commute. Give me a Uber with no roof, and I crash Bandicoot. Put the ice in my glass like the cup caught the flu. Sick, I choke. And you don't say as you do now. Baby girl, there's no rest for the wicked at home. And they know. Working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest. Can a man just flex? Working hard, but we never had a breath. On to the next. Everybody take a rest.